Welcome, everybody, to the 6th episode of the Rooted Lifestyle podcast. We are your hosts, Camryn and Justus Woods.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode.
We're so excited you guys are here. It's crazy that we've already recorded. Well, this is our 6th episode.
Yeah.
We've posted 5. This is our 6th.
I don't know about you, but I've had a lot of fun.
Me too.
Doing this.
It's been kind of crazy trying to figure it out with our weekends because of your job. We have to only record on the weekends.
Yeah.
But
it gives us something to do
working
together on the weekends, and it's been...
as if our weekends aren't busy enough.
Yeah, but this has been great.
No, it's been
Hopefully you guys
so
have
fun.
enjoyed it as well.
Yes. If you've stayed along since the beginning, like you've tracked along with us, then like that's impressive.
Yeah.
So thank you guys. Thank you.
So what are we going to be talking about this week?
So last week we talked about, what did we talk about? Oh, life updates last
Yeah,
week.
life updates.
Yeah. So we also mentioned how we got married as of recent. And so we decided this week that we wanted to talk about our experience dating because we dated for 6 years and 5 of them were long distance.
Yeah, and we always get the questions of, oh, did you guys break up during college? Like, how was that? Like, I can't believe you guys stayed together for so long, being long distance. And we definitely learned a lot during that time. So this episode is kind of dedicated to breaking down what we went through when we were doing long distance, the troubles that we had, the things that we learned, and ultimately it worked out, I think.
I think it did.
We're married.
We're married. And we're happily married.
Happily.
We're not just, I was about to say, we're not just like miserable
Nope,
over
I
here.
just did it because, you know.
Just for fun.
Just for fun.
Just for fun, it seemed right.
Yeah.
But yes, it's a crazy story. And a lot of you guys that listen probably already know it. But for those of you that don't, we started dating junior year of high school, the end of junior year, which was crazy. And
Was
at that
2017?
point, 2017, yeah.
2017.
And at that point, you had already committed to play football at Stanford.
Yep.
Stanford, California.
Yep.
Just throwing that out there, California. And I was still like applying to colleges, deciding where I was going to go because I wasn't going to go for sports. I did cheerleading, so I wasn't going to do anything for that.
You weren't going to come to Stanford with me?
So that is the best part. I love when I tell people like, oh, he went to Stanford. They're like, why? They like think about asking me like, why didn't I go there? And then everyone on this earth knows I could never get into that school.
I got in, so.
You're very smart. I'm smart in my ways. School is not one of them.
You're very smart.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you went to Stanford, and then I had decided like a couple months later that I was going to go to Auburn.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, wow, that's over 2,000 miles apart.
I've never asked you this, but like, were you hesitant about dating me because you knew that I was going to Stanford? Maybe I have asked you this, but were you hesitant to start dating me?
Yeah.
Knowing that I'd be going to Stanford?
Definitely. It's so weird because I had gone into my junior year being like, okay, I'm done with boys, not going to date till I go to college. Like, I'm going to be single. It's going to be so fun. As if I had all these boyfriends. I didn't. But I was just like, I'm going to be single, whatever. And then we started dating. And after that, it was just kind of like things kept happening. I didn't really like think about them. It just felt right.
Yeah.
And I think that sure, I had the hesitation, but a lot could happen in a year and a half. And we had a year and a half before we went to college. And so I was like, maybe it'll work out. We'll grow closer together within a year and a half, or we'll break up within a year and a half.
That's true. We did have a year. We had like all of senior year together to kind of like not test it out, but like
kinda test
to
the
see
waters.
if it would work. And then if it didn't, then we probably would have.
Right? Were you? I mean, same goes for you.
Yeah, I was a little bit hesitant. I felt like
people
just
were
because,
also like, it's a distraction.
Exactly, like the distractions of like, you know, you work your whole life to get to a moment like that, and then
a girl comes and ruins it. I ruined it. No, I'm just kidding. I did not.
I was hesitant at first, but like you said before, I just felt right, and I think just kind of the pieces fell in place, and next thing you knew, we were 6 years down the road.
That's insane. We also had a lot of people supporting us in like both of our parents, both of our families, and our friends were all supporting us in high school. So we knew it'd be easier, but yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. So it's like setting the scene of going into our freshman year of college. Tell me how you felt going in. Were you nervous? Did you think we were going to stay together? Like what was going through your head when we were, because I left
5
first.
years ago.
I left.
See, that's the thing. We had 2 weeks in summer.
Yeah. So I left in June.
Yeah.
And then you were going to school in that, I guess that's September. But yeah, so
I think going from seeing each other every single day, unless we were like gone on vacation with our families or something.
Yeah.
To not seeing you for like a really long time, like weeks at a time. It was a horrible transition, but going into it, I was like, we can do this. We're a very strong couple.
Yeah.
We had the same beliefs. We had the same goals, the same dreams, not the same dreams, but the same goals and things like that. So I don't know. I went into it being pretty confident. The fear was there in the background, but it was more the fear of like, I can't imagine my life without him. So I feel like it would take something very serious for us to break up. Yeah. That's kind of where I was.
I think for me, the biggest thing was that everybody says in college that you change the most.
Yeah, that's true.
So I was thinking to myself, what if I change to a different person? Not a different like bad person, but like what if I change in our preferences, in our lifestyles, like don't align anymore? I think that's what I was afraid of most, because everyone's like, you're not the same person, which is true. You're definitely like, college changes you, and you're not the same person in high school that you were in. You're not the same person in college that you were in high school.
Right. I would definitely say like, I was afraid when we would see each other, whenever we would see each other next, that like that time would be different. Okay, maybe this time would be different in a bad way, in a way of like, we can't really connect the same that we used to or anything like that. But no, going into college, I was like, it's okay. I'm so excited to go to college because I knew these were going to be the best 4 years of my life. Yes, I didn't have you, but I was excited to kind of go our separate ways and be able to live separate lives while incorporating each other.
Yeah, I think that was a cool thing of like, because a lot of people, they're like, oh, like if you guys both go to the same college, like you're just following each other to college. Right. Like it kind of forces you to go out and make friends, because if we went to the same school together, odds are we'd just be hanging out with each other every weekend. It would be so easy just to fall back on, you know, like I'll just hang out with Camryn this weekend. Like I don't need to go to something to try to make friends. So
like I have her. No, that is so true, because I went to Auburn knowing no one. You went to Stanford knowing no one. Yeah. And so it forced us to make those friendships and invest in friendships. And you're kind of forced to be in college when you're there. So it allowed both of us, like you focused on football, I focused on my friends and my community and the way of life there. So no regrets going in. It was scary, but it was okay. I was okay with it.
So going into college, you had joined a sorority.
Yes.
80 Pi.
Boom, boom.
Boom, boom.
Yeah. I had joined a sorority. I knew I was going to do that the whole time.
Yeah. So I should have worn my 80 Pi jersey instead of my, do they have 80 Pi jerseys?
We do. We wear them on bid day. It's kind of strange.
I should have worn my 80 Pi one instead of the
Why are you saying it like you have one, silly? I don't even know where mine is. I think it's gone. But you should have worn a...
You're
repping the Auburn baseball jersey right now. You look good.
Thank you.
I love it. But yes, I joined a sorority, and obviously you were doing football, but I joined because A, I wanted friends. I didn't know anyone. And B, I was like, this is the perfect way to be busy, to keep myself busy. Because we did stuff all the time. And you, oh my gosh, talk about your schedule for football. Because it was crazy.
It was pretty hard. And I know that we had sent out a post, I think, earlier about like asking questions. So this might have been one of the questions of like, kind of like, what were the day-to-days of being apart? Yeah,
we're just going to answer those Q&A questions also like as we go through.
Yeah.
So hopefully we answer all your questions.
So like in terms of what our day-to-day was of being apart and how that worked. My days were very hectic playing football. On like any given day, it's like you wake up at 5 something to go to like a 6:30 a.m. lift. Then you go to breakfast. Then you go to class. And then like when I was injured, like I'd go like treatment before workouts, do the workout, treatment after, breakfast. Then you go to class. And then sometime in the middle, you have to go to like freshman year, I had to go to like study hall. So I had to get a certain number of hours in study hall. And then I had to go to a lift. And then I had to go to like it was crazy, like, or not a lift, like activation and stuff. Or some people get second lifts in before practice, like activation and lifts before practice. If I was injured, I have to get treatment again before. I'd get treatment like two times a day. And then I'd go to practice. Practice was like for what? 2.5, 3 hours probably total. And that was like, at that point, it's like 6 o'clock. And then afterwards, it's like dinner, or afterwards, like people stay out on the field. You run extra routes. You like go into the weight room. You do more work again. And then homework, like after dinner is homework.
And like Stanford's a hard school. You're not just doing like 2+2. You're doing like crazy things. And that's the funniest thing. Was yes, we were long distance and we were literally across the country from one another. Yeah. But you were an athlete. And for anyone who is an athlete in college, you know how it is. You know how busy you are. You know how exhausted you are. Like,
it was
I
very
couldn't expect you to give me 100% when you have just gotten your life like beaten out of you with practice.
And the issue is that like the time zone change. So it was 2 hours.
It was.
So when I would be I would be going to dinner and you'd be like going to bed, which was crazy.
Laying in bed with... if I was like, when freshman year, I had a roommate.
Yeah, so did I. And that's another thing too. Yeah. So we both had roommates freshman year. So it's like you can't really talk on the phone.
So we never
late
talked.
at
That's how we
night.
kept dating. No, I'm just kidding.
You can't talk on the phone late at night when you have a roommate because they're like, shut up.
Well, she loved you.
That's true.
And you loved
Yeah.
her too. So it was easy-ish to talk, but like when I really
Yeah.
wanted to talk to you, I would have to like go outside and it's pitch black dark.
Yeah.
And I'm in my pajamas talking to my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, are you good?
So kind of like going into that, how do you think we navigate it through that? Through like all the busy schedule and you even like hanging out with your friends and stuff and
Because I
doing.
would try to be present when I'm with my friends.
Yeah.
Like I definitely wouldn't try to be on my phone because I'm trying to make those connections.
Exactly.
I would try to go do like extracurricular things like that. I don't even know. We are so good at communication. We were fine before going to college. After college, we got so much better because no matter what, we would talk every day unless it was like a rare occasion. We genuinely couldn't find any time. But it was almost okay because we talked the next day and we would be texting throughout the entire day. That was one really fun thing about long distance. Well, when we could.
Yeah.
But like if I would text you and then 4 hours later you responded, you're picking back up where I left off. So it was fine. But I think that was one crazy thing about it was just like we would be texting constantly.
Yeah, and I think like we found time to text each other, like in between, whether or not it was like right before practice, I'd text you, be like, I gotta go, like I'll text you afterwards or something.
Yeah.
I feel like we put that as a priority.
Yeah.
Some people don't do that, and I don't know about you, but sometimes I get a lot of flack for texting you all the time or like texting you all the time.
We
but
have gotten a lot of
that's the only time that we
crap for
really
that.
had to be able to talk to each other.
Yeah. It was rough. I think other people's opinions of our relationship also made it a little bit harder. Just like little comments of like, oh, do you really have to call him? Why are you always texting him? Those types of things. And it was like, I mean, obviously they don't get it. They don't know you. They don't know our relationship. Like when I first started making friends, but once my friends knew us, were around us more, they definitely understood, oh, you guys like make it work from talking all the time.
Yeah.
And we're not texting like, hi, morning, what's up?
And it's
Nothing,
not like
you know?
we're dependent on each other.
Right.
We weren't just sitting in our rooms like texting each other, waiting
No.
for each other to text back. But when I had my phone and you texted me, like I'll respond.
Right.
Because I want to know what you're doing. I want to keep up with you. I want to be a part of your life. And we were 2,000 plus miles away.
Right.
I still wanted to be a part of your life. And I think that was an important thing is that we prioritized that, like you said before, that communication with each other. And it was mainly through text. We tried to do FaceTime at night or maybe like even when I was like riding my bike or something into class or
I have so many FaceTime screenshots of you either on your bike or your scooter or your golf cart when you were injured. The funniest things ever. But yes, I mean, communication is just insane. And I feel like we really did get good at that.
Yeah.
Even now to this day, when you're at work or I'm working or whatever, we'll just like text throughout the day. But it's not so much of like, I need to know what you're doing every waking second. It's like, if I don't tell you this right now, I'm going to forget. And you're never going to know because I just have the worst memory ever.
and you want to be a part of each other's lives.
Exactly.
And I think we were able to build that in college, which was good.
Not saying you have to text because some people are just really bad at texting. I don't know why.
And some people don't need, I don't know, some people don't need that communicate. Well, I mean, communication's important, but people have communications in different levels. Yeah. But for us, that's what helped us to stay connected to each other. And I think that was an important part of it. But not to say that that's like
the only thing.
Thing. Like
not at
always
all.
text you don't have to, but.
No. So I would say, besides communication, when would we see each other? How often?
Yeah, that's the good part. And I know I think this was another question of how often did we see each other? I would say like once every month and a half to 2 months.
I would say we average like 4 to 6 weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. Which is crazy. So my second love language is quality time.
So is mine. Yeah.
And so for two people who love quality time, that's where you feel the most fulfilled through love and things like that. It was so hard because you're only getting so much quality time over the phone when you're not distracted by something else. And I know that having good friends around me where I could give them quality time and they would give me quality time, that helped, but it's still different when it's your boyfriend. Like it's just, I don't know, it's different. So traveling to each other, seeing each other.
Traveling was really hard for you because
I didn't care.
Auburn didn't have an airport
so
to fly out of.
So I would have to drive.
Tell them about that a little bit.
I'd have to drive an hour and a half to the airport.
Yeah, the Atlanta
One way.
airport.
That's one way. The Atlanta airport. The Atlanta airport was my second home in college.
You should have had a parking spot there.
I honestly should have. Everyone was like, "Oh, I'm so scared of the Atlanta airport." And I'm like, "Are you kidding? I thrive in the Atlanta airport so much. Like, it's just the best. And if anything was wrong, one of my best friend's dad lived right there. So it was just the best. And I'm not kidding you guys. When I would leave Auburn to go visit Justus in California, I'd be like, see ya, girls. Like, I'm going on vacation. Because I'm going to California.
No, and like we'll talk about like during what it looked like during the season, but also out of season, we would do a lot of fun
go to
things.
The beach, we'd do so many fun things. But okay, yeah. So I would drive an hour and a half, get to the airport, have a 5-hour flight.
Yep.
5-hour flight. Oh man, never got a good seat. Was never flying first class because we were paying off of your stipend money.
Yeah. So we would leave on like a Friday night.
Yeah.
Or Friday afternoon or something.
Yeah, I may have skipped a class here and there.
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry, Dad. But yeah, so I would try to make it worth my while. So I would either come Thursday night, do class online Friday, or come Friday night. But during the season, Justus has to be in a hotel. What is that? Why is that?
Yeah, so before every game, well, obviously like away games you wouldn't come, but like even for home games, we would have to stay in a hotel just to like completely like seclude ourselves from anything that may be going on like on campus. Like
boys are crazy.
So you don't want to go to not to go to parties or whatever. Yeah. So we'd stay at a hotel every night the night before.
Yeah.
And like you would fly in on Friday night or on Thursday. Thursday was rare, so like maybe I could see you then, but usually you'd come in on Friday. You'd fly in on Friday night and I'd like be at the hotel. You'd Uber to wherever you were. I think you were staying at like the Stanford Park Hotel.
Okay, I had my favorite hotel called the Stanford Park Hotel. And it's right across from the mall. So that was my little spot. That was my vacay safe spot.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, you guys would say like a Westin or something.
Yeah.
And I could, in hindsight, I could have stayed where y'all were staying, but like it would be weird. I wouldn't want to walk around the hotel and like see all your teammates and stuff.
Yeah.
It was
but
just weird.
We had visiting hours there for an hour the night before a game. So I would see you Friday for like an hour.
And it was like people were watching us.
Yeah, it was like a room.
Weird.
You would go to a room and everybody's families were there, and you just like sit in. I feel like a prisoner who just like was like during. I was like having my family come visit me.
No, it was very odd. It was very, very odd.
But
so then, okay, so I flew 5 hours, and then I would land, and then I'd have to get an Uber ride. For 45 minutes to get to you.
Yeah.
Out of San Fran.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. And then so Friday night, wouldn't really see you, or I'd see you for an hour.
Yeah.
Saturday, obviously, you have your game. I'm not going to see you till after.
Yeah, and so like it depended on the game. So if it was a afternoon game, I'd see you maybe around like 5 or something. If it was a night game, it's over. Like if we were playing at like 7 p.m. Because the whole day we're like doing walkthrough, we're doing meetings, we're at the hotel, we're getting ready for the game, and I just don't see you.
Nope.
I don't see you until after the game. So basically, you would come in on a Friday, and I wouldn't see you probably until late Saturday night, and then you'd leave on Sunday.
Yeah. So I got into the habit of taking a red-eye flight on Sunday night because I was like, I don't see him. And taking red eyes, I was like fine with it for a little bit. And then this one time my roommate came with me, and I've never even come close to falling asleep at the wheel ever. But neither of us could sleep on that flight. So we were up all night, and then we had to drive an hour and a half back to Auburn at like 6 a.m. I literally, if she was not there, I would have fallen asleep at the wheel, which is so scary. So after that, I was like, I'm never taking a red eye again. So I would just take like a really early flight on Monday.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
a lot
not
of sacrifice.
A picture perfect.
I think in the
visit.
we would only see each other for maybe like 10 hours,
But
and then
for
it'd be a month.
some reason, like it was enough for me. I just needed to see you.
And to like be with you in person. Yeah.
Quality time. Seriously.
Yeah.
And my other love language is physical touch. Like I just want to be holding your hand. I want you to like cuddle with me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stop. I love physical touch. Okay. You're looking at me like that.
I think, I think out of season was a lot better.
Oh, it was bliss.
Because
you come visit me.
I would come visit you during, we would have, I don't know, like a long weekend where you didn't have school. Like some days we'd have like one day of like lifting off where I can come on a Friday and then stay through Monday. But
and when Justus came to town, all my Auburn friends can advocate for this. It was like everybody had to see Justus. Everybody has to hang out with him.
It was very rare that I would come there. That's
I know. And because you're awesome. People loved you.
Well, that's sweet.
People loved you.
But
loved
like
you.
when
they
you
still love you.
Yeah, they don't anymore.
No,
they used
still
to.
Love you.
And when you'd come and visit Stanford, we would, like we said before, we'd be able to like go to Half Moon Bay. We drove down Highway 1 and saw like Pebble Beach. We went to Pumpkin Patches.
Carmel
we
by
went
the
to
sea.
Carmel by. We just had a lot of fun in California. Like California is beautiful.
that's why I think I was happy. If you were in like Nebraska,
Yeah.
what the heck would we be doing in Nebraska? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you went to the best possible location. Like Silicon Valley being right there was so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like Stanford in and of itself was a beautiful campus.
Yeah.
So honestly, it was fun. It was so much fun. And I think that's what kept me going, to be like, okay, not only do I get to see Justus, but I get to stay in this incredible hotel by myself, have fun, and then go shopping, eat some good food, because all the food in California is so good. And like in Auburn, it's just a very different pace. It's a very small town. All you do is eat.
It's about the people at Auburn, though.
I'm obsessed with every single person at Auburn.
Yeah.
Every single person. I love
War
it.
Eagle.
So yeah, War Eagle always. What is yours? Go Cardinal. Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
And this is all to say, it seems like that we're saying that everything was like teddy bears and rainbows and we made it work and we never once fought, but we did, for all the good that we had, there were some like rough spots that we had to definitely go through. And
Right.
do you want to touch on those a little bit?
So I would say freshman year, obviously the biggest adjustment at the time that we had was probably the hardest, but we never talked about breaking up.
No.
So what had happened was like I had mentioned before, I was in a sorority and we have date parties, we have socials, we have formals, all the things. Because Justus was an athlete and we don't have thousands of dollars to just fly to and from every weekend, he couldn't come to my socials and they were normally on Thursdays. So it was just like never in the cards for you to come.
No.
And so the first date party that we had, I was like, okay, like I know some of my girlfriends have siblings in fraternities and things like that. And I'd met them before. They knew I had a boyfriend. So I was like, I'll just ask them, like, let me see what Justus thinks. And we had talked about it a little bit before. And I thought it would be easier than it was. And in the moment, I didn't really understand. I understood where you were coming from, but it's almost like I didn't care. Like I cared, but not enough for it to stop me.
Because you were in a place where you were new, you wanted to be able to make friends, and through those socials, and that's how you make friends. Like nobody wants to just sit. Nobody wants to just sit at home while all their friends are at a social.
And if I went by myself, like I wouldn't go with a group of my friends. Like it just would be so different. So I asked one of the guys to come with me, and I thought it was gonna be really chill and everything. And Justus never once said like, you can't do that. You are not a controlling person. You've never controlled me once. And I think that that's also something that has allowed us to keep going, is we don't control each other. But yes, so he came to the social with me. Pretty sure you didn't talk to me that night. I think that was a night where no texting was involved. Yeah. But I was really proud of Justus for letting me figure it out on my own, because after that I was genuinely like, I don't know this dude. I'm not looking to get to know this dude. Like I just want Justus here. And I thought that having a friend there would like fix the issue and like fix the desire, but it didn't. And Justus was upset, so I never did it again.
I mean, I think for me, I'm gonna be like 100% open and honest in the situation. Like, for me, it was a struggle just because, like you said before, my love language is quality time. So it's like, not only do I not have quality time with you, but you're spending quality time with somebody else. Somebody else is getting like my quality time that I should have.
Absolutely.
And I think partly that, like, part of me wanted to tell you no, but I was like, I can't control you. I can't say you can't go to a party or a date party when you're trying to make friends too and you're trying to live your life. So it was a balance, and it was a struggle for me internally to say like, okay, I chose you for a reason. Like, you're my girlfriend, and if something happens, then it wasn't really in the cards. Like, I trust you enough and I understand who you are as a person enough to give you the flexibility to do what you want to do. But I think it was like a conversation that we had to have of understanding like, okay, even though I'm okay with it, it's like we want to do what's best for each other ultimately.
Right.
Just because one person or the other is okay with it doesn't mean that it's what's best for them.
Right.
And I think that's what we learned too in college, is that putting in certain situations, it's not about what I want, but it's about what the other person wants, what's best for the other person.
Yeah. Tons of sacrifices, like you said, over and over again. Yeah. And so after that, I had never brought a guy to a date party, but I seriously have the best friends from school, and I had the best friend group, and no matter what, they would always be like, just come with us. Like, it's fine if you don't have a date, like no big deal at all. So sometimes I would go, sometimes I wouldn't, just because it wasn't like a huge function, or sometimes I would go to California and like, see you girls. But my favorite to this day, my favorite date function was my senior year Mallard, and I went by myself with all my friends. And it was the most fun I've had at a social. I'm not even kidding. I mean, I missed you, of course.
Yeah.
I wish you were there, but you couldn't be. It wasn't an option.
Yeah.
It was so fun, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So,
and obviously, this may not be an issue for some people. Some people are perfectly okay with it.
That's fun. Like, do what works for you.
And I know that some people are like, okay, like why would you not go just because he was upset about it? Like, it's your life. I think that's how we made our relationship work by understanding the other person. Especially when you're far away from each other, you don't have room to just do what you want to do all the time.
Yeah.
Because that's how you slip away and you lose that connection with each other. Because there has to be some way of showing that you care about the other person.
Right.
And that's what I want to commend you on. You showed me time and time throughout college that you cared about me.
Well, thank you.
And it made me more open for you it made me more open to be uncomfortable with like those types of situations, because you demonstrated that our relationship was important. And I think that we both demonstrated through different circumstances throughout college that this relationship is important to me and we're going to make this work.
And it's so funny because from an outsider's point of view who like doesn't know us at all, it could almost sound like codependent or like we like have to do something for the other person. We're never selfish in like a good way or anything like that. But for me, it was never like he's controlling me. He's making me feel this way. I'm going to resent him deep down for it, but never say anything. It was just like, I really think it was the Holy Spirit in both of us being like, put the other person first, like put the Lord first and then the other person, like your last type of thing. But we also had so much fun. Like I wasn't upset because you were like, I don't really want you to do that. Like, I don't know. We just sacrificed and came to good compromises a lot. And I think seeing the sacrifice from both sides on even the littlest things, like where are we going to dinner tonight? I want this. I want this. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we went here last time. Let's go here tomorrow night. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, you're the best. So,
no.
And seriously, people ask me all the time, how did you guys do it? And the only thing I can say is it was the Lord and it was Justus. If I were dating anyone else, I don't think it would have.
That's not true.
You are the only person that can put up with my craziness. I'm crazy and my ADD is horrible.
Well, you're on track right now, so you're doing a good job.
Okay, let's keep to the notes. Where are we at now so I don't lose anything?
Track. I think what other issues did we have outside of, there were a couple issues of just, like friends of the opposite sex or things, just like casual, like jealousy conversation, like normal stuff that would happen in a relationship when you're long distance.
I think you said it really well earlier of like, I was never jealous of, I was never angry that you were with a girl.
Yeah.
And by the way, we would never like hang out one-on-one with the opposite sex. I was just kind of like, I would never want to form feelings for another guy if I'm with him alone all the time. You know what I mean? Like that's that makes, obvious. Like they're there, they're giving me quality time. So I knew that I wasn't going to do that with myself. Yeah. For the sake of our relationship. But if you were like at a party with like a small group of friends and there's a ton of girls that you're always with, I would get jealous because like you said earlier, they're getting that quality time that I have not had with you in 4 weeks. Yeah. And it's unfair. Air quotes, unfair. Yeah. But it's like not your fault. I want you to live your life. I want you to make friends. You have incredible girl and guy friends from school that I adore. And you obviously know them more than I do. But I don't know. It was just, I think we both had the basic understanding of like, you live your life, have fun at Stanford. I'm going to live mine, have fun at Auburn. And we just work with each other. Yeah. So I think that like, what would you have to say about friends with the opposite sex? Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that was of course, I feel like that's a big issue with any relationship. I do have something to say. So this is funny. It always helped. No, this isn't bad. Oh, okay. It always helped when we had met them. Yeah. So when I'm 100%. Texting like, oh, I'm hanging out with this person, you're like, oh yeah, like I like them. I've met them before. Yeah. But like, especially with guys, I feel like when you're a guy and you haven't met the other guy, like it's easy to assume another guy's intentions. Funny, I would say the same for girls. I mean, everybody says the same thing about everybody. Justus never, ever, 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 ever in the 6 years we've been dating, he will never catch on if a girl is flirting with him. Ever. And Justus is so like laughy, cute, fun. Everyone wants to be friends with him. And I'm like, she's flirting with you. And he's like, what? Yeah, that's why I say, what? I'm just kidding. But I knew how you were about things like that. And so I was like, this girl is probably flirting with him, but I didn't care. Because I also knew, once again, trusted you, but I also knew that your intentions were with me.
Yeah.
And if they ever had shifted or changed, like I knew that we'd be upfront and honest about it.
Yeah.
But it just, sorry, there's no one better than you at Auburn. So sorry about it, Auburn boys.
No, I like we said before, we invested in each other, and that transitions into kind of the next big question of, okay, so how did we make 4 years, 5 years of long distance work? And we'll go into like some tactical like tips and stuff that we learned along the way. But I think the biggest thing that we did was that we were both 100% invested in each other.
Yes.
And ultimately you just have to decide if the person is worth it or not. I think in every situation, I would think, okay, I would rather work through this with you than end our relationship because of this. Like I'd rather see this through with you and come out on the other side better than like any situation that we got into, any argument, it wasn't worth losing you over.
Saying, is this person worth it or not sounds horrible, but I know
But
what
it's
you're saying. I
ultimately
know what you're saying.
saying,
You're not
like-
saying, are they worthy? You're saying, is this relationship
Are they
Yeah.
worth? Like you're basically choosing when you're approached with a situation, like let's say like your boyfriend or girlfriend doesn't want you to do something, but you do. That's ultimately the decision that you're making. Are their feelings worth it?
So true.
Than the enjoyment that I'm going to get from doing
So true.
XYZ. And ultimately my thought process and how I felt was, I knew that I wanted to marry you, and I knew that you were the person for me.
When did you know that?
We're not talking about that right
When did you know that? Wait, no, tell the people. It was early.
I think like, well, like it's different. I will say that there's a difference between I can see myself marrying you and then I know I wanted to marry you.
When did you know?
Probably like junior year of college.
Okay, I would agree.
I could see myself marrying you, like honestly, like going into freshman year.
The second you started dating me.
Yep. The minute I saw you
were
in
holding my hands, shaking
in ninth grade, the minute I saw
junior
you.
year, ninth grade. No, you knew you wanted to marry me when you were holding my hand, asking me to be your girlfriend and shaking.
Okay. Thank you for putting me out, just throwing out.
It's adorable.
All right. We're moving on. So yeah,
Okay,
you
I'm sorry.
decided to see it. You basically have to decide if the person's worth it or
Yeah.
not, or if the relationship, like you said,
and you
is
were
worth it.
I never wanted to upset you, like to deeply upset you. I never
Yeah.
wanted you to be like, oh my goodness, remember when you did that to me? Because I know you're supposed to like forgive and forget, but I mean, depending on what it is, like some things are really hard to forgive and forget. And so I don't know. You were just always worth it. Had to figure it out for myself, but your feelings are valid. You were always worth it. We both knew what we wanted. We were very upfront and honest about where we wanted this relationship to go. And so I think actually the way that we grew through college together and separate was really cool.
Yeah.
And obviously it worked out well because we're married.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah. So I guess some tactical advice we can go. We have 5 tips.
Yes.
Or 5 things that we've learned dating for 4+ years long distance, 5 years long distance. So number 1 is that communication is key. These are pretty generic, but we'll go into a little bit more. But communication was the biggest thing for us. Kind of how we mentioned before, whatever way that is for you, whether that's texting, phone calls, you have to be able to
FaceTime,
communicate with each other. And I think you have to learn how to build your communication skills.
Write letters.
Yeah, we did. We did write letters to each other.
Letters to each other, and that was really sweet. I still have them, and that was just like old timey, cutie little thing that we did, and I loved it.
Yeah.
That was not our main form of communication, as you guys
Yeah,
know.
our main-
we sent
We emailed
snail
each
mail.
other.
No, I'm kidding. Email. Oh my gosh. But communication is so key, and I think the biggest thing with communication is that if there is a disagreement, because long story short, whenever it had been like 6 weeks without seeing you, I would get so frustrated on like the week before I see you, just because I was so mad that I hadn't seen you. And I was just like, anything that he says, any tone that I think he's texting me in, I would like not snap, but I'd be like, why are you texting me that? Why are you mad at me? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, whoa, chill.
Yeah. Do not fight over text.
No.
That's
No.
one of the biggest things.
No.
If you have something, if you get in an argument, just
Please
call each other.
And it helped. It was honestly kind of nice sometimes when we would have a disagreement and you would like have to go to practice. So you'd like sweat it all out and then you'd regroup with your thoughts and I would have time to regroup with my thoughts. and we come together.
We come back, we talk on the phone, and we'd be like, okay, let's walk through this.
Yeah, because I also think if I'm going to disagree with someone immediately, I'm going to be way more like fiery about it than I would if I like had some time to think about it myself, come to my senses, and then talk about it.
Yeah. So basically, for communication, find a way that works best for you two to talk to each other and to share your feelings and to be open and honest with each other.
That is so
because
true
if you're holding in things,
yes,
like you said before, you're just going to have kind of that passive aggressive resentment tone, and it's just not going to work. They're not with you. They're not going to be able to tell what's wrong with you. They're not going to be able to guess what's wrong with you. You're going to have to tell them.
I've learned through the years that it is completely unfair for me to be upset when you have asked me 5 times and I'm like, I'm not. And like, I'm literally resenting you. And so you finally asked me for the 6th time. And I'm like, well, so like just be open and honest. Yeah. And I know us girls want the boys to know exactly what's wrong with us all the time or exactly what we would have wanted. But just being open in communication and being trustful. Like one thing, like if you would ever come to me with something, I would never go run to my girlfriends and be like, listen to what Justus did, blah, 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 and like spilling everything to other people. It was also things that like we kept to ourselves. We were very trustworthy. We were very open with our feelings. I don't know. Yeah. We were just a very trustworthy couple. Yeah.
And I guess that goes into the second point.
Oh, sorry.
Trust.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I really jumped ahead there.
No, it's true. It's true. And kind of continuing off what you were saying, you 100% have to trust the other person or you're going to drive yourself crazy.
Yes. 100%.
Your imagination can go wild. The thing, even too, I struggle with that of like, okay, what is she doing at that party? What is she doing with them? And your mind the devil will play tricks on you.
Yep,
and
100%.
If you don't have trust, you have to be like, okay, I trust this person enough that I chose them and they chose me. And it's like part of that too, for what helped me is just kind of handing that over to God to be like, okay, God, you gave me the wisdom to be with this girl. And I feel like you've brought us together. You brought our relationship together. Help me to trust her. And I think kind of praying that and asking God to give me peace in those situations helped me like a million times over. Because you, like I said before, you can just replay situations or something in your mind that is probably not even happening.
I think that's the craziest part is that what you were saying about the devil can really take a hold of that and make you go crazy. And it's very important to recognize that because from my perspective, you never did anything to break my trust.
Yeah.
Ever. But it's crazy how in my mind, I'd be like, well, what if he did this? Oh my goodness. Like, what if this is happening? He's not responding, blah, blah, blah. Like literally being a crazy woman for like 5 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, get it together. Like it's Justus. You trust him.
Exactly.
And if you broke my trust, which you didn't break my trust in college in like any major way or anything like that. Not at all. But if you did, that would take a lot of repairing. Yeah. And that'd be a whole different story. But
especially with long distance, just because you're not there. So you have to trust that person all the time.
It's possible with the Lord's help, but that'd be hard.
So what's the next point?
The next one, this one's my favorite. So before we would leave each other for the 36-hour vacay we would have together, we would always plan the next time we saw each other. Yeah. So I would never leave you. You would never leave me without us being like, okay, see you in 4 weeks. Okay, see you in 2 months.
We wouldn't have. We didn't always have an exact like flight booked, everything. No. But we had an idea of when we would see each other.
And if something big were to come up, we would always make it work, but then that push us back another week or something like that. But we'd always make it work.
We'd always have an idea of like this weekend or these 2 weekends. Yes. One of these times you're going to come, I'm going to go there.
And it's hard when money is a huge issue.
I always think back to like how much money
No, it makes me feel bad.
Did I spend on flights? Your flights, my flights, your hotels.
Yeah. I didn't have a job in college. Like
I got a stipend.
This was you.
Yeah.
It was all you. And once again, a sacrifice. Justus did not spend a dime of that money on himself. Yeah. It was always the dates we would go on when I come, my flight, my Uber, everything. Yeah. My parents helped some too for freshman year. Yeah. They paid freshman year for some of my flights because my mom was like, our poor baby. She needs to see her boyfriend. I love them.
Poor me.
Yeah.
Poor my wallet.
We made it work though. And I understand for a lot of people that money can be a huge, huge issue. And if it is, then maybe you do have to go 3 months without seeing each other, and then your communication's going to get stronger. Or you buy that scary flight and you just hope you make it there for the cheapest
Spirit
price or anything
Airlines.
like that. But yes, planning the next time we would see each other, or planning like when I'm coming to California, let's go to Half Moon Bay. I mean, when you come to Auburn, we're probably just going to go to Taco Mama. But
Yeah,
it
but
was
like you
still
said,
fun.
planning things for when
Yeah.
you see each other, so you have something to look forward to
Yes.
together.
And keep yourself busy. Like
Yeah.
you can't just rely, like we've said before, you can't rely on, okay, well, I want to get through these next 4 weeks just so I'm with him again. It was never like that. We were like, oh, well, have fun tomorrow at this thing that you're doing. Like we always kept ourselves busy with something.
Yeah, and I guess that goes into our other point. You're jumping into points.
See, that's funny. I'm not even like reading the next point. I'm just
No,
like
so-
going to it. I'm
So
sorry.
the next point is that your person can't be your everything, which is kind of playing into what you were saying of you have to have a life outside of the other person.
Yes. And I think going to different schools taught us that.
Yeah, you
I
can't
really
just
do.
be sitting in your room like, oh, when is this
No.
person coming? Like you have to have your own life. You have to have your own friends.
Me waiting for you to come home from work every day. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, you do. You do. Yeah.
I call people. But yes, you can't let your person be your everything. I mean, we're
Yeah.
not going to find full fulfillment from things on this earth,
Yeah.
even people.
And
So,
from us, that's our relationship with Christ. Understanding that no human being can fill that void, fill that
No.
love that
no.
he has and that he has given us. And trying to replicate that is just impossible.
Yeah.
Because his love for us is so great. And all the type of any love and the amount of love, like I don't have the capacity to love you the way that Christ
Right.
loves you.
It's not how it's supposed to be.
And that's not how it's supposed to be. And that I think keeping that into perspective helps as well, to know that I'm not just Camryn's boyfriend. That's not who I am. That's not
Yeah.
who God made me to be.
Yeah. And I think we also had the understanding that if we were to break up, of course it would be heartbreak, like it could be really hard and stuff, but
Yeah.
I knew that I would be okay because you were not my everything. You were a very important person in my life, but like I still have my friends, my family, my community,
community,
and the
yeah.
Lord. So I knew that I would be okay. I think that was also a really huge cushion on like, okay, is this relationship worth it? Because I could get out of it right now because
Exactly.
I know I'd be okay because of all of these people that I have supporting me. But it was just never worth it, like we said. And so, yeah, that's hard. Even in marriage, it's still hard realizing it's almost harder in a way, realizing
Yeah.
that you're not my everything. So very important, very, very
Yeah.
important.
So make
to
sure you
people
have-
around
yeah.
you. Don't seclude yourself with one person. That's
Yeah.
very scary game.
Yeah.
Very, very scary. I've seen people do it, and if they eventually break up, the girls have no one, and it's really sad.
So like get into community, get
Mm-hmm.
friends, and read your Bible. Understand, like reading the word and understanding who God calls you to be, what your identity is in Christ, I think is important to know that you are chosen by him.
Also, a total side note that might take me down a trail, but I'll try to not let it. Once you have that community and you have that support, your people around you may start to see things that you can't in your relationship,
That's good.
and could protect you from making mistakes in that relationship, as in not getting out of a relationship that is not biblical, is not good.
It's not good for you. It's
Yeah.
draining. It's energy draining. It's
Yeah, that's like a whole rant we could go down, but I've seen
Yeah.
it happen, and it's really sad when girls or boys are secluded from their friends.
because if you're really opening up to a person and you find community and you really open up to them and be your true self,
Mm-hmm.
and then they see you around your boyfriend or girlfriend and you're not that person.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a different person around them, then there's like there's a disconnect there, and they're able to kind of tell you that blind spot of like, okay, you're not the same. You're not the same person that you are, that I know you to be,
Right.
when you're with this person.
you're
So
not being
that's a
true to
really good
yourself.
point. So
Totally different side note
No,
there.
that's a very good point.
It's very important because, like I've said before, like I've made the best friends in high school and in college, and I really do believe that if you were not the one for me, or like there was something that my friends saw,
they would tell you.
they would tell me, and I'd be grateful for that. Like maybe in the moment I would resent them and be like, okay, I'm mad at you guys for saying this, but like 5 years down the road, I'd probably be like, thank you, Lord,
Yeah.
for my friends and for them actually being brave enough to say something to me. So total side note.
Hmm.
But the last one is compromising and sacrificing.
Yeah.
And we still do that right now.
Yeah.
That's the really cool thing. Everything we learned through long distance, we've been able to
Still use
in marriage.
because it's applicable
It's the same
to
thing.
even when you see each other every single
Right.
day.
Absolutely. Completely different things, but very applicable things and the same principles and things like that.
Yeah.
So compromise and sacrifice. I mean, obviously monetarily, we sacrificed a lot. You sacrificed a lot. And I'm a big, big social girl. And so if my friends were going on vacation, but like I had already planned to go see Justice or he was coming to me, that was hard for me. I mean, for you, it'd probably be like, who cares? Like, let's just go hang out with each other because I'm just more of a, I need to be with
social
my girlfriends.
person.
I love big group things. I don't want to miss out, that sort of thing. So that was a little bit of my sacrifice too. Or of course, not asking someone to a date party, but that wasn't really a sacrifice because I realized I didn't want to do it. So, I mean, there are just tons of ways you can compromise and sacrifice, even just something as little as like, what are we eating for dinner? Like I said earlier.
For me, it was money, but also when I would get out of practice or I'd be really tired, there may have been days where like I just didn't feel like talking, but I knew that's what our relationship and what you needed. So I made it a point to like call you when I could, text you when I could, even when I didn't feel like it 100%.
And I would always ask you, like I could always, not always, there were a couple of times where I could tell he really is not okay, like probably during your foot stuff. And so I would respect that. And I'd be like, let's just talk tomorrow. Like, it's okay. Thank you for trying, but let's like try tomorrow. But another thing that we could talk about are love languages, and just how we were able to complete those for one another because we both have quality time as a very high one. And then other one's physical touch, and we're literally long distance.
Yeah.
So what would you say, or how would you say that we were able to fulfill that? Do you think it was just when we were together, like we were really good at being fully present? Like I was not on my phone when we were together.
Yeah.
And
I think that's another good thing, not good thing about being long distance, but like the time that you spend together
is the best
time because you know that it's such a short period of time. You don't get that all the time. So
you're fully present.
You're 100% focused on that person and what you're doing. Like nothing else is distracting you.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool thing. Also, if you're in a relationship, you should do the love languages with your other person and just like get to know how to love them better.
Yeah.
Because
I would agree.
Yeah. It was just a really cool thing that helped us being quality time, which is funny because of long distance. But those are key pieces of advice. Anything else to add?
No, I think those were the main 5. And that's what allowed us to get through college. But we obviously did long distance too for a year once we graduated. I went directly to Dallas. You stayed in Charlotte for a year.
Yeah. But completely different because obviously I knew I was going to move to Dallas, so I'd want to come visit.
Yeah. When
I would come out here, I would stay a week because I wasn't working at the time. I was planning our wedding and I was getting my personal training certification. So I had freedom. Thankfully, my parents offered to pay for a good, right?
About half.
About the same thing as college. So that was helpful. And it was just the best because I was so excited to move here that it was like totally fine. But with your job, it was kind of hard to text.
It wasn't as bad. Honestly,
not as bad, but it was still kind of hard.
Yeah, it was a little bit because especially I was 100% invested in just like because new job, like trying to get my feet underneath me and stuff. But I felt like it was just a lot simpler, especially just weekends were free.
Yeah,
I wasn't tied to like staying here on the weekends. Yeah. I had vacation days that I could take. I had holidays that I could be at home for. So it was definitely a lot easier, but we used the skills that we learned in college during that 1 year. But there was also, we understood that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. So it was very,
we were engaged.
We knew that this was going to end in 8 months. So we were kind of just like
it is
tunnel vision of it is what it is. We've done this before. It's easy.
So with all this being said,
was it worth it? No, it was not worth it.
Awesome. Is there something you have to tell me? Because I'm confused.
No, go ahead.
No, it was definitely worth it. People are always like, if you could have chosen, would you have gone to the same school? In hindsight, I wouldn't change a thing. Going into college, sure, that'd be nice. I'd be comfortable. But God calls us to step out of our comfort zone. And I would say that's exactly what I did by going to Auburn, not being in college with you, not being in college with any of my friends.
Yeah.
And I think it made me more confident in myself, more confident in the Lord, more confident in my friendships, my family, my relationship with you. There's really nothing I would change besides maybe when we would visit each other, seeing each other like for a longer period of time.
I mean, obviously, obviously it sucked in the time, but with any bad, like any bad time, you can pull a good out of it, and you can always learn something from low points in your life.
Right.
And not to say that long distance was a low point, but we had like low points of missing each other, and
it's just hard.
Lower points of our relationship during that time where we were able to build up these things to help us through our relationship. So I would 100% say it's worth it. And I think it's funny because people say like, oh, you've dated her since high school. Why? Like, are you missing out? like you're missing out. You missed out on getting to know
the college experience.
Like you only got to know one person who you met in high school, but there's so many more girls out there and stuff. And I would always like respond to that with, I don't see myself being with anybody else. Like, what is it that you have that you don't have that I want? If that makes sense.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
you have everything that I want. Like, I'm not like, oh dang, I wish Camryn was XYZ. Like
and I think that that's a really good way of knowing if you should be with someone or not.
Yeah.
Like, don't just focus on all the good things that they have. Like, be aware of the things that you wish were different. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
this funny gay, like perfect in every way, but, and it's like funny things. But if I was listing off like, oh, he has a good job, he communicates well with me, but he doesn't listen to me. Well, I guess that goes communication. Or like, but he never spends time with me. He's always with his friends. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of give and take with that. And so it's like, you really have to focus on what would I want from someone else that he doesn't have, like you said.
and it's like what's important for you, and that's different for everybody.
Right.
But
For
for
sure.
me, you had everything that I want. Like I was never. I mean, obviously you're human and you make mistakes, but
Definitely.
there was never a time where I was like, Camryn's not fulfilling this need for me.
And I think it was that we were all in. I think one person can't be all in and the other person's just kind of like, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You both have to be all in. And if you're not willing to do that, then it's not meant to be. I mean, could be a bad season of life and maybe you come back together in the future. But for us, it was not a walk in the park. I know it sounds like it kind of was, but
It wasn't.
it was hard being away from your person for so many weeks. Probably made up to like, what, a year that we didn't see each other?
Yeah.
Which is crazy to think about, but totally worth it. Wouldn't change a thing. It made us stronger. People that are going into long distance, though, just pray a lot about it. It's hard and it's different.
But it's possible. It's possible.
It's
and we're
definitely
100%
possible.
proof that it's possible. And
Yes.
I will. Everybody says that, or there are people who say that, oh, it's like not worth it. I'm of the opinion that if you want something bad enough, it's able to be done.
I agree.
So,
I 100%
and we made
agree.
it done.
And it
We
was
made it
great.
done.
We made it. Yeah.
We got it done.
What's up with our English right now? No, I'm kidding. We're just hungry or something. But yes, we hope that this helped you guys get to know us a little better. And if you have any questions on long distance, please do reach out because we're full of a lot of information on long distance that we probably didn't even touch. But
Yeah.
thank you guys again for listening.
Hopefully this was able to give you some advice or some support or help if you're going through long distance. Hang in there.
Yeah. Even long distance friendships.
Yeah.
Those are hard. Different, but hard.
Yeah.
You know?
You can
But
always do it.
You can always do it. Well, thank you guys
Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
Bye.